Hello. How's it going, everyone? Apologies once again for goofing up there. I forgot to change the calendar date, but hopefully no one's too confused. And you guys are doing well right now. Let me pop the chat out. The gang is here, back together. How's it going, Doomed? Please let us know what your master thesis was that you're working on. Sweet Steez is here. Cora, Money. How's it going, fellas? Lancelot. Hello. Didn't want a 5-minute beat that people had to suffer through. The exercise post didn't mention to leave the first part of the beat open as there wasn't a verse. Good point. I did not explicitly say that, but that should have been something that I did. Goofed up there once again. Boom, how's it going, Sherb? Good morning. Let's hang out here, listen to some beats. Like I mentioned, I'm not sure if that was last stream, but it seems like you guys prefer to do a lot more of the feedback hangouts like this. You guys can just sort of hang out in the chat, drop your comments, listen to some beats, as opposed to the Q&A sessions. Even when those are later in the day, they can be hard to get to, and they're a lot more, you sort of have to be a lot more present. And so we'll probably cut down the Q&As to maybe once a month, and we'll do these once a week. And so let's go through some of these beats, and whichever ones that I don't get to, we can just get to next week. And you can also get a diverse set of opinions because Cora is also doing these reviews. So it's going to help you get multiple perspectives, and we'll slow things down, be a little bit more in depth as well with the reviews. So that is something that I think we will have be different, do more of what you guys actually like and show up for, and less Q&As and stuff. And maybe we'll just have like one long Q&A session a month. Yeah, that is my thinking. Otherwise, guys, let me know what's been going on in your lives. Hopefully, Sherb mentioned that he's trying to get back more into beat making, get a little bit more of a tight schedule. I'm curious, Sherb, if you've set yourself with an actual schedule now, that you have a little bit more free time. That'd be interesting. But other than that, I'd also like to hear what Doom Traveler's master thesis was on. Let's just start with an actual beat here. Let's start with a young producer by the name of T-Roy, who also showed up to the last Q&A, and it was cool talking to T-Roy. So let's jump into T-Roy's beat here. This is the acapella challenge with Jid. So here we go.
Conductor.
Let's just be quiet 1 second, please.
We just rapping, dog. Everything real vanilla. However long I rap out, you gon' come. Look at me, dog. Look, niggas know I ain't the one to sleep on. I'm under pressure, gotta sleep with the heat. An extra clip beside the dresser like I'm pop. Paranoid niggas puffin' pot, puffin' out your chest, what? Stop. We ain't stupid, we ain't stun you and nothing you doing. I'm the intruder, the pursuer, the persuader, the shooter. I display a wide array of different styles. My latest, none greater. I graduated from furious mad. Now I'm just aggravated. Say congratulations, everybody. I can activate her. Imagine they had first let very bounce from out the batting cages. Pre-performance enhancing behavior. Run my accolades. Run my bath and rub my back, baby. They been sack chasing. If all these rats racing, I'm coming in last place. Snakes in the grass, I haul ass at a fast pace. Offense, autograph the ball, I pass great. I'm an athlete. Turn your favorite rapper to the ashes in the ashtray. Look shit, ashtray. Ask Louie, ask Izzy, ask Squiggy, and ask Dre. Ask around the A, ask the master on the plantation, and ask the magistrate. Who the biggest, baddest in the land is about to masturbate with both hands, smack it across your face. Drop a tape before the album, most of you lost taste. But I'm sniffing like a hound for a senator, lost grace. Trying to figure out if I'm really him or a fraud fake. He gon' find a way, either in the game or God's gates. Put your guard up or pick your rod up, it's time to play. Hit your squad up, we beat you all up and take your ball, bruh. All tough behind the screen, but softer than my broad butt. Raw cut behind the scene, I'm all the things I say I mean, and all the things I mean I say. Respond to me, see who play. C4, I'm the master, I'm the dragon and the teacher, and I carry Christ's passion. Let it blast through the speakers, let my black ass show when I'm on the stage. Drop beneath, I'm very unethical when it comes to public speaking. I probably been smoking and drinking, saying just what the fuck I've been thinking. Oh Jesus, they just let him off the leash, and now he aiming for your head. Put the old people, children, and women in the bed. Heard G walking around with the infrared. Brother went off the edge. Don't be scared. We can save him and talk him back off the ledge. If it's beef eating flesh, he turn into a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Give a fuck about who you said was up next. And up now, I'm on the outside looking into the crowd like a sniper shooting bugs off your windshield wiper. My rhyme cipher like a fully loaded rifle, nigga. Fuck it, hate it, love it, and like him. I'm still like that, easy.
T-Roy's remixes. Graham, how's it going? We got Kat here as well. Doom says I worry about online counseling with children and youth and how artificial intelligence could be integrated. Oh, that's interesting. In terms of counseling, talking to an AI. I wonder if that if the AI would give good advice. I don't know. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this beat. Cora mentions a nice arrangement playing with the vocal, not dropping the bass in until the vocal says stop with the hard cut instruments. Gave a great full drop. I think there's some good bones here, but there's something making it feel chaotic and claustrophobic. I think it probably needs some EQing of sounds. Vocal seems a little bit off from the snare, but works for the most part. Feels a little awkward and crowded at times. The vocals seem off early on, says Sherb. So yeah, my feeling on this beat, I know what you guys mean in terms of like the feeling of claustrophobia and sort of chaos. Most of this beat is being filled up by seemingly random noises. There's only, from what I can hear, one sort of core instrument, that sort of synth that comes in and out, but it seems as though different sounds and different noises are used to fill up spaces.
They just let him off the leash, and now he aiming for your head. Put the old people, children, and women in the bed. Heard G
have these like gunshots and
went off the edge.
swiping sounds and stuff.
Save him and talk him back off the ledge. If it's beef eating flesh, he turn it.
Very little of it is sort of musical, and so I think that sort of contributes to this feeling of sort of chaos, where a lot of the beat is being driven by these seemingly sort of random noises, but there's not enough sort of core instrumentation and musicality to sort of help you understand what the song's trying to do. There's definitely an aesthetic, sort of industrial beats have this type of feel where a lot of the beat is sort of filled up by noise, but it doesn't feel as though this is that, because you have these noise-based sounds on one hand, but then you have these really clean drums on the other, and so there's sort of this mismatch of aesthetic, if that was the intention. So yeah, I just feel like these are sort of two different aesthetics being pulled together, and it kind of feels a bit chaotic because of that, if that makes sense. Sherb says the part of the beat that felt good was when all the elements dropped all the sounds, but the bass came in for a bit. Emotion of the beat wasn't on point with the lyrical, says Money. Definitely add some EQ and stereo separation to give the sounds their own areas, but the groove and the bounce and the beat itself sounded cohesive. Yeah, I agree with that. I think the drum pattern works. It has, it's a good set of bones to this beat. There's a good amount of structure in the production as well. I think just filling up the beat a little bit more using actual instrumentation, musical ideas, and using instruments and sounds that might be a little bit more unique as well, and moving away from using various melodic noises to fill up the beat would have been a good idea. I think either go one way or another, where you do a full idea that sort of depends on musicality and going that route, or if you want to do something that's amelodic, then just doing everything that is required to sort of have that aesthetic, like mudding up the drums, going over the top with a lot of distortion and whatnot, things like that. So yeah, that was my take on this beat. By the way, guys, let me know if is anyone here excited for the NFL football season to start? I had my draft over the weekend. Let me know if there's any fantasy football players so we can commiserate over the season about how awful our teams are. Because I don't have a good feeling about my team. Next up, let's take a listen to Zach's Beat. Zaxby? Isn't that a restaurant? Zaxby? Zachary. Here we go. Who is Boomadin in the chat? So we'll take a listen to his beat soon. And yeah, here we go.
Fought and beaten many men, and his name strikes terror in the hearts of his enemies.
He's not a human being, he's an animal.
Let's just be quiet 1 second. Please, 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 please.
Look, niggas know I ain't the one to sleep on. I'm under pressure, gotta sleep with the heat. An extra clip beside the dresser like I'm pop. Paranoid niggas puffin' pot, puffin' out your chest, what? Stop, we ain't stupid, we ain't stun you and nothing you doing. I'm the intruder, the pursuer, the persuader, the shooter. I display a wide array of different styles. My latest, none greater. I graduated from furious mad, now I'm just aggravated. Say congratulations, everybody, I can activate her. Imagine they had first let bear bonds from out the batting cages. Pre-performance enhancing behavior. Run my accolades, run my bath and rub my back, baby. They been sack chasing. If all these rats racing, I'm coming in last place. Snakes in the grass, I haul ass at a fast pace. Offense, autograph the ball, I pass great. I'm an athlete. Turn your favorite rapper to the ashes in the ashtray. Look shit, ashtray. Ask Louie, ask Izzy, ask Squiggin, ask Dre. Ask around the A, ask the massa on the plantation, and ask the magistrate. Who the biggest, baddest in the land is about to masturbate with both hands smacking across your face. Drop a tape before the album. Most of you lost taste, but I'm sniffing like a hound for a senator lost grace. Trying to figure out if I'm really him or a fraud fake. You gon' find a way, either in the game or God's gaze. Put your guard up or pick your rod up, it's time to play. Hit your squad up, we beat you all up and take your ball, bruh. All tough behind the screen, but softer than my broad butt. Wrong cut behind the scene, and all the things I say I mean, and all the things I mean I say. Respond to beat, see who play. C4, I'm the master, I'm the dragon and the teacher, and I carry Christ's passion, let it blast through the speakers.
I just bit down on a black pepper corn that I had in my mouth for breakfast. Ooh, my God, I'm tearing up. So that was Boomadin's beat there. Say Boom Dien. Apologies for the mispronunciation. Sherb, you have your draft tonight. Do you know what pick you are in your draft? And if so, if not, I should say, which pick do you hope for? Forgot it was even starting. Been so checked out of football for the last 2-3 years. Fantasy was fun, but I stopped paying attention and always lost. Yeah, I think fantasy football can be a cruel mistress. Love the bassline and horns, really smooth, says sure, but Graham also says smooth. Horns sound great. I'm always confused, evening. Nice warm atmosphere. Nice announcement for the lyrics to drop at the beginning. Bass is nice too. Wrong account as usual, says Marco. Arrangement is solid. The vocal wasn't the best, but I feel cleaning it up a little with compression, de-esser, and EQ would have helped it sit in this beat a little bit more. The beat is on point though. Great vibe overall. Vox wasn't cutting like it should. Won't know until right before the draft. I'm just hoping I don't get the first spot. Is there any reason why you don't want? I'm assuming you'd go for CMC, I guess, and you don't want him. Clean beat, good variations. Vocal timing seems sometimes a bit off. I know this sample for sure. Where is it from? I'm not familiar with this sample, so interesting that you guys are. With this beat though, I got the same feeling that you guys mentioned. Really, really smooth, really great drum pattern, great bass line as well. I love that sort of jumpy, almost arpeggiating bass line. Great patterns in terms of the instrumentation as well. We have this more complex, highly musical pattern with the bass that has a lot of movement, and then the sounds or the patterns around it with the vibraphone and the keys. Much more simple, so that's exactly what you want.
Terror in the hearts of his enemies.
He's not a human being.
You have the
He's an
chords as
animal.
well. It's not
Just
playing
be
too
quiet. One
complex of a
second.
pattern.
Please.
When the bass line's playing,
Look, niggas know I ain't the one to sleep on. I'm under pressure, gotta sleep with the heat. An extra clip beside.
great idea with that sound on the left channel. It sounds like it's like a pulsating organ.
The dresser like I'm pop. Paranoid niggas puffin'.
Really small texture, but it probably goes a long way in getting the beat to actually sound full and complete.
Pot. Puffin' out your chest, what? Stop. We ain't stupid, we
Yeah,
ain't.
that's really smart. And I think small little things like that can really go a long way. And again, it's not as if it's a highly musical idea either. It is just contributing to filling up space. And I think doing small things like that, or even just taking what you currently have and like resampling it so it becomes a smaller layer. Small ideas like that can go a long way in getting your beat to sound full. Good job of the variation throughout the beat, dropping layers and whatnot. I do think that whenever I drop everything but one sound or pattern, I tend to sort of push myself to take that sound and build something a bit different. And so in this beat,
Yes, Izzy, yes, Squiggin, ass straight.
Here
Ask
we have
around
that
the A. Ask the master
drop where
on the
it's just the
plantation
bass.
and ask the magistrate. Who the biggest, baddest in the land is about to masturbate with both hands smack it across your face. Drop a tape before that.
so for me, like I would take this as an opportunity to, you know, push it a little bit more and create variation with the actual pattern. Just because it becomes much easier and you don't have to worry about making sure all the different layers are cohesive. Since you've dropped everything, that just leaves so much more opportunity and room to take that pattern and just do something a little bit more, a little bit extra, a little bit different, whatever it may be. And so that was one thing that I would say. Another thing is that it felt as though the
Quiet. 1 second, please.
drums,
And I'm the intruder, the pursuer, the persuader, the shooter. I display a wide array of different styles. My latest, none greater. I've graduated from furious man. Now
I
I'm
think the drums could have cut through a bit more as well as the vocals. I think just having an EQ bump on most of the high frequencies of the drums and maybe a bit of the vocals as well could have just helped fill out the song overall a little bit more. But for the beat in particular, I think just adding some more crispness to the drums could have been nice. Having said that, you might have felt impeded by the actual vocal. And if you tried doing that without cleaning up the vocal, it probably would have been overwhelmed. So that might be the reason why. But nonetheless, I think those small little details could have helped. But nonetheless, this beat overall just has so much great amount of sort of sophistication in it that it's really impressive. Really impressive. Sherb says, yeah, that would be the only reason for the first pick in the past. It's usually been tough picks after the initial pick. So if you didn't get first, I guess which player in the first round excites you beyond CMC? Money says, true, it didn't feel stagnant at all. Elements here and there kept it interesting throughout. I think the vocals feel off at times because it was a freestyle. Wanted to listen to the OG after and it felt the same at times. That makes sense. So it's not 100%, you know, on the metronome just because there's a freestyle performance. Personally, for me, I don't really, that's not something I'm really paying attention to. I'm more so thinking about how the beat works with the vocal in terms of where the sounds sit, making sure everything feels like it has a good balance. If there's small little shifts in timing, I'm not going to sort of really care that much because that's not necessarily like a production issue. That's something that can be easily cleaned up with like a little bit of annoying editing and cutting and pasting and stuff. I feel the actual vocal by Jid is naturally off anyways. That's what I encountered. Do you guys like Jid? I know his last album was very critically acclaimed, but are you Jid heads in this chat? Let me know. Also, when's I thought ASAP Rocky's video or album was supposed to drop soon. I was planning on doing a video on it when it came out, but Has not come out yet, and I'm a little bit stuck on what to do because I also wanted to make like a cloud trap tutorial, and I was hoping that there would be some of those beats in ASAP Rocky's album, but now it's taking forever to come out. Is there an album that you guys are looking forward to? Maybe I can use that. Whoops, I accidentally drew it myself to make a video around. We got Sankhelp, the Sankey. Let's see what Sankey's got for us here. I should really just put these in order. There we go. I know the alphabet. Barry Bonds is the song name. Here we go. We got the classic.
Let's just be quiet 1 second, please.
We just rapping, dog. Everything real vanilla. Everything moving real vanilla right now. We just have a long I rap out. We gon' call it. Look at me, dog. Look, niggas know I ain't the one to sleep on. I'm under pressure, gotta sleep with the heat. An extra clip beside the dresser like I'm pop. Paranoid niggas puffin' pot. Puffin' out your chest, watch. Stop. We ain't stupid, we ain't stun you and nothing you doing. I'm the intruder, the pursuer, the persuader, the shooter. I display a wide array of different styles. My latest, none greater. I graduated from furious mad. Now I'm just aggravated. Say congratulations, everybody. I can activate. Imagine they had first let Barry Bonds from out the batting cages. Pre-performance enhancing behavior. Run my accolades. Run my bathroom, rub my back, baby. They been sack chasing. If all these rats racing, I'm coming in last place. Snakes in the grass, a haul ass at a fast pace. Offense, autograph the ball, I pass break. I'm an athlete. Turn your favorite rapper to the ashes in the ashtray. Look, shit, ashtray, ass Louie, ass Izzy, ass Wiggin, ass Dre. Ask around the A, ask the master on the plantation, and ask the magistrate. Who the biggest, baddest in the land is about to masturbate with both hands smacking across your face. Drop a tape before the album, most of you lost taste. But I'm sniffing like a hound for a senator lost grace. Trying to figure out if I'm really him or a fraud fake. He gon' find a way, either in the game or God's gates. Put your guard up or pick your rod up, it's time to play. Hit your squad up, we beat you all up and take your ball, bruh. All tough behind the screen, but softer than my broad butt. Wrong cut behind the scene, all the things I say I mean, and all the things I mean I say. Respond to beat, see who play. See for I'm the master, I'm the dragon and the teacher, and I carry Christ's passion. Let it blast through the speakers, let my black ass show when I'm on the stage. Drop beneath, I'm very unethical when it comes to public speaking. I've probably been smoking and drinking, saying just what the fuck I've been thinking. Oh Jesus, they just let him off the leash, and now he aiming for your head. Put the old people, children, and women in the bed. Heard you walking around with the infrared. Brother went off the edge, don't be scared. We could save him and talk him back off the ledge. If it's beef, eating flesh, he turn into a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Give a fuck about who you said was up next. And up now, I'm on the outside looking into the crowd like a sniper, shooting bugs off your windshield wiper. My rhyme cipher like a fully loaded rifle, nigga. Fuck it, hate it, love it, or like 'em. I'm still like that, easy.
All right. That was Sankey's beat. Hopefully he enjoys that nickname. Forever Story was amazing. Yeah, that was the album's name. 29 Freestyle is my favorite. Never really listened to him since Cora. Didn't know him till this assignment. I think the first project I've heard of his was that Young DiCaprio. There's that one song, 151 Rum. Really cool beat on that song. His album got pushed back. Never heard of Jid till now. Interesting. Heard of him, but a lot, but didn't listen to him on the new M album. I heard his verse. I think I also listened to his verse. It was a pretty cool verse on Eminem's album. What did you think of it? I thought it was pretty good. Creed, how's it going? He says, this is mine. Melody seems a bit haphazard, says Kat. Perfect timing. Sherb wants CD Lamb or Hill if you don't get CMC. Interesting. I feel as though with my draft at least, there's only like a small handful of really good running backs, and then there's a pretty good depth of wideouts. So I was trying to aim to get a good running back, but my draft already knows that, so they took them all. Jerks. I got the 10th pick. Melody is quite off of with the vibes. Drums sound tight with vocals, though at times I feel the flute is a little bit too loud, wide, competing with the vocal. Interesting juxtaposition though. Agreed with Cora, says Sherb. 808 is boomy. I struggle with the same too. I feel as though the bass line is a little a note off. I like the complementary sounds and nice textures, says Michelle. How's it going, Michelle? Also, the flute seems to be the main POI. It could use maybe some more note changes, as it feels like it's staying within the same few keys and is a little bit monotonous and a bit boomy. Other than that, I liked it. Of course, says he was agreeing with Sherb. Hoping for a new Tyler album. A lot of rumors about Kendrick too, but you never know with that guy. I thought it was a dope verse. Thought he was a mumble rapper or some shit. Yeah, I think I've seen his name around for a long time, and I never quite understood, like, yeah, it's a sort of interesting topic where most people, when they see a new artist, they don't necessarily listen to them right away. And you sort of start tying different, like, associations to them, and depending on what you associate with them, you sort of have this sort of predetermined notion of who they are, what they do. And it's just interesting how, like, maybe them being on a feature with a mumble rapper completely changed your perspective on who they were, and you sort of didn't give them a shot. And this sort of goes into a lot of what we've talked about over like the last few streams of like, what is it that people actually connect to when it comes to an artist, and sort of give them a chance and actually like bonding with them. A lot of the times people just think that it's purely about the music, but I think all these small little things like what you mentioned, of just having these preconceived ideas that might be informed from something completely different can just go in such a long way in whether people actually give an artist an opportunity or not, or actually like their music. There's just so much more outside of do I like the song or not that many people think about. I know for us, as you know, people who like music a lot and to the point that we're actually making it, our frameworks and how we believe we make our decisions off of like what we like and what we don't like, I don't think that that is true for most other people. I think a lot of people first look to see what other people are saying, and stuff like that before they make a decision on whether they like music or not. I don't know. I just feel like as I get older and older, I come to believe that many people don't actually have that much of an opinion on anything sort of art related. And they oftentimes depend on other people's opinions. Because I don't know, let me know if you guys have this experience where there's like a restaurant that opens up. So many people say it's awesome and it's crazy. And you know, there's this crazy hype. They have like maybe a great social media presence, and you see like the same thing repeat over and over again. And then when you actually go there, it just tastes like exact same as every other restaurant, but twice as much. And because people see all the hype, they see a high price, they almost assume, like they go in with this opinion that it's gonna be good. And even if their taste buds sort of tell them something different, or maybe they don't even know how to actually critique and think about it themselves, they almost don't even value the actual experience that they go through as an indicator of whether they like the thing or not. Very strange. I don't know if you guys have experienced that. I thought it was a dope verse for sure. Wait, I already read that. Because it takes some time to build stature on a listener's subconscious, I guess, says Money. I think with newer artists, if you're not completely in the know, they feel with all the similar types of names and sounds, it's easy to feel like they all bleed together, even if they don't. Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of artists probably struggle with nowadays, where it's just so hard to actually cut through and feel different. Because I know even with like Jid, for example, and this also ties into what we talked about, where it's just like even visually, how the artist looks and like what they have as their aesthetic can be an important thing. Because with Jid, when I look at him, I sort of don't see anything that feels different than what I've seen before. Whereas let's say take someone like JPEG Mafia, who has really gotten like an ardent fan base. Visually speaking, in terms of like how his music videos look, how you see him look in like pictures and whatever, it quickly becomes apparent that his overall aesthetic just feels different. And again, for us, we just think about the music and that's all we care about. But I feel like there's so many of these small little subconscious things that go into our brains as well that really inform us in terms of like how we perceive that person or that artist. Corey says, I feel playlists can hinder artists. You see someone like Jid on playlists with artists that all sound the same, and you never give them a chance because you assume it's the same old thing. Yeah, that's a really great point. I think even if that artist is a standout among that playlist, just by the being on that playlist, you instantly make assumptions about them. And that's something that's like completely out of their control as well. So that's a really interesting point. Yeah, in the social media era, it's all about clout and being part of the hype. A lot of people don't have their own real opinions. Yeah, that's something that I have come to believe more and more in my old age. The vast majority of people just don't have their own opinions and their own tastes. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just don't think that a lot of people, maybe it is a bad thing. I don't know. Do you think those people, like deep down, they have a feeling about it and they're suppressing it? Or do you think that they just have no opinion at all? That's the part that I'm a little bit like confused about. I don't know if confused is the right word, but that's what I'm always questioning of like, does this person actually like this thing or not? And are they suppressing their real opinion? Or is it that they are just too afraid to form their own opinion? Or is it that they just have nothing to like say? Maybe they just have, I mean, you have to have some opinion on whatever thing you're experiencing. If you have like a piece of food in your mouth and you're chewing it and it's hitting your taste bud, you compare it to like every other thing that you've eaten. I don't know. Jump on the hype train, says Cora. Say with this beat, let's talk about Sankey's beat real quick. I really liked the core sound in here. It was a cool texture. I think it was a great idea to build a beat around. Also enjoyed the pocket that was built with the bass. It wasn't an 808 that was like constantly playing.
Rats racing, I'm coming in last place. Snakes in the grass, a haul ass at a fast pace. Offense, autograph the ball, I pass great. I'm an athlete. Turn your favorite rapper to the ashes in the ashtray.
Yeah, and I like how the pattern sort of changes during the actual loop. Great drum pattern as well. A few people pointed out that it does feel as though some of the notes do feel a bit off with that main sound when it's playing alongside the bass. I do think, especially with that key that comes in every once in a while, those notes almost feel as though they aren't quite the right notes. So I think maybe just double checking that, or maybe even just simplifying the pattern to play something a little bit more sort of simplified and straightforward, as opposed to having that pattern be musical as well. I think one big thing that jumped out to me is that this beat sort of had a lack of depth. Everything felt very upfront and very close with the instrumentation. It didn't really feel like there's anything in the background of the beat. Of course, it's just gonna stop playing. How is Google even working? How's this company even alive? Do you guys feel like YouTube search sucks nowadays? Because I definitely do. Google, they might be losing it. Who knows? With their god-awful audio.
Just aggravated, say congratulations, everybody.
Yeah,
I can
no
activate
sound,
the imagine they had
really.
first lit bear bombs from out the batting cages. Pre-performance enhancing behavior, run my accolades, run my bathroom, rub my back, baby. They've been sack chasing. If all these rats racing, I'm coming.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of these sounds are just sort of sitting in the same plane. So I think just a little bit more depth control and maybe even having to add in yet another sound to sit further in the background, bringing the drums a little bit forward, just to have a little bit more separation between the textures would have been nice. And that could have also offered up an opportunity to create more variation and have more materials to play with, to have, switch ups and whatnot. YouTube wants to make me alt-right. Yeah, I feel as though this is something that I've seen more and more of. I want to see what Cora says here first, which goes back to what Sher mentioned with social media. People live their lives to post and gain followers, so they just copy what others do to gain that, even if they don't believe it. Yeah, I think instinctively this probably falls into just not wanting to fall outside of the herd and not wanting to be ostracized and be a part of what you feel is safe. I think that's just a sort of inherent feature of people, which is that, you know, it's part of our survival instinct to not stick out and not be different from everyone else. But it's something that I believe is probably less and less true in our modern day. That instinct is probably actually what keeps a lot of people from succeeding and sort of getting their lives to something that's a little bit more successful, because I feel as though nowadays your ability to be different and actually be apart from the crowd is what's going to help you stick out and get people to actually just at least give you a chance. And the best way to stick out is to just inherently actually follow what you think and feel. And oftentimes you'll come up to some idea or some thought that is a little bit different than what everyone else thinks. And while it might not be popular, there are going to be people that will be attracted to that and feel as though, oh, this person, even if I don't agree with them, they're at least being an original thinker, or at least they're not just saying what everyone else is saying. And I sort of feel that in terms of what Doomed mentioned with like YouTube wanting to push you one way or another. I don't know, man. I feel this is something. We're going on like a million different tangents today, but hey, this is one of the benefits of having 2 feedback sessions instead of 1, and then 1 Q&A. What I'm noticing a lot more nowadays, I stumble upon that theory, the sort of dead internet theory, a little bit of like sort of conspiratorial-esque thing, but I think the fundamental proposition that I talked about is that the internet isn't what it used to be. I think that is very much true. Pre-social media, it felt like there were so many different websites that I used to go to, and different places across the internet that had a lot of different opinions and ideas and sort of perspectives. But now, whether it's YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, it just feels like you have this overbearing thing looking over your shoulder and like sort of guiding your head towards one way, and different platforms position you to go in different ways. But it just feels more and more apparent that like there's this creepy element of like instruction that's always going on, where you almost feel like you're being instructed to watch a certain viewpoint, and like anything outside of that is just never shown to you. Yeah, I feel as though the last few years I've become more and more bored with the internet overall. I'm not someone who enjoys social media to begin with. As you guys probably know, I don't post anything on like Twitter or Instagram. I only have my YouTube channel, and it's very just limited to beat making. I'm not sort of making posts about, hey guys, look at me, I'm in Paris or some shit like that. Yeah, it just feels as though the internet is just not as fun. And I think what we talked about with the sort of herd mentality of how most people live, the sort of social aspect has become so prevalent on the internet that like that also might be an emergent factor of why everything feels so much more boring, because everything feels so much more safe. That even for me, like I'm very much encouraged to make a certain kind of content, and anything that might feel as though it's a little bit more personal, a little bit more divergent from what everyone else is thinking, it becomes infinitely harder to figure out a way to get people to actually give that a chance. Yeah, and I think that is sort of emergent push towards homogeny, and it's just not fun. We want our confirmation to be nurtured, says Doom. What we need is constructive communities such as this one. That is a theory that I've seen as well, that the internet is going to become more and more community-based, which is interesting. It's partly true, though. There are many very opinionated bots that influence the opinion of the public. I feel as though while they are heavily opinionated, they just sit in like two different extremes. And it's not as if it's diverse in any means or nuanced. It's just like all the way over here or all the way over there. And anyone who's in the middle is like a demonized buffoon, coward, blah, blah, blah. I've always said schools are just conditioning facilities, to get to that 9 to 5 and do what you're told. The internet is so much that now for kids growing up in it. I think that is another problem where even for me, this is a really interesting concept where for me, I've been conditioned to think in right and wrong, in that the worst possible thing that you can do is, for example, fail a test or get an answer wrong. But then when you go out into the real world of what it is today, for example, my sort of living that I make off of my YouTube videos, failure is actually a requirement. It's the only way you can get more information and data on what you should be doing. But for a lot of people, we've been so conditioned to think that failure is the worst thing that can happen to you, that I think that is also what keeps people from taking that leap and taking a chance on, posting up a beat on their YouTube, because they think, well, what if I get it wrong? But the irony is that that is exactly what the real world requires you to do. And so, there's this sort of mismatch of how school conditions you to actually behave. And I think that you are right, where the educational system was built during the industrial age in the sort of early 1900s. And so if you're, working on a factory line, for example, there is a clear right and wrong. Like, you have to build this sort of widget in this exact specification. And if you don't, everything else in that whole machine fucks up. And so you have to get this right every single time. Whereas nowadays, we've moved on from the industrial age and now we're in the information age. And so exploring different ideas, depending more so on your creativity, and having that be the main lever for whether you succeed or not, it's going to require you to actually fail, because you need to test your ideas in the market. And not everything is going to work. Like on my YouTube channel, the last 2 videos before the JPEG Mafia one that I put out, those are the worst performing videos I've had in the last year. And the old me probably would have really been affected by it emotionally. I would have been bummed out for weeks. But after reconditioning myself to just be like, it's not the end of the world if I fail. I've been through this so many times where my channel takes a dip and then I come up with another video and then that gets tons of views. But we're just not taught that failure is part of the process. And so I think that's why, emotionally speaking, there's just a lot more anxiety and a lot more fear in people nowadays, because we're just not being prepared for the world that is. We have been prepared for a world that no longer exists. And I don't see the education system changing to really help people prepare for what the world is now, because I don't think anything can really prepare you except for really taking that leap and trying things yourself. Yeah. Garbage rises to the top, says Sherb. Actually gets pushed there, to be honest. I don't know if I would be someone who agrees with that viewpoint. I don't know if I want to say cynical or just extreme. I do think that there are interesting things that do rise to the top. I just think it sort of plays into what we talked about, where this is again an old framework that I think we're still applying to a world that no longer exists, where we all look at like streaming numbers. We think of quantity as the success measure, where it's like, how many streams did this get? And that is an easy and quick way to sort of categorize whether something is a success or not. But I do feel as though there are things that you can't measure that are not as apparent. So for example, let's say someone like JPEG Mafia versus someone like, I don't know, someone who's like a blind artist. While JPEG Mafia might not get as many views as a very popular artist, we've seen a lot of these artists have tours that flop because they can't sell tickets. Whereas someone who is like JPEG Mafia, yes, that number is smaller, but those fans might be much more inclined to support because they can't find that kind of experience or music anywhere else. And so it becomes this idea of how to be irreplaceable. And unfortunately, there's no number that can show you that. There's no like, this customer is a 90% fan. This customer or this fan is like a 90% customer. This one's like a 60%. This person's willing to spend this much money if you put out like a vinyl. And so, yeah, I think it might not be that garbage rises to the top. I just think that our metrics for what we classify as a success and not is just not telling a full picture. It's not painting a full picture. And so we, again, are just using frameworks that just don't actually apply to the current world. It's all a facade, but society is going to be entertainment driven in the future, says Money. Yeah, I think as the world becomes more and more safe and more people get money, we don't have to worry about survival and starvation. And we can have the luxury of seeking out more joy and entertainment. But I think that also has its downsides as well. Failure is good for us, says Beast from the Basement. We learn from empirical evidence, so we learn what to do next time around. So this is yet another tough thing where even when I think back to my YouTube journey, there are oftentimes the metrics aren't really good indicators either. There's just so much of a qualitative aspect to YouTube, for example, that you just cannot figure out. I have videos that have a click-through rate that's extremely high, and yet those videos don't get pushed out to more people. Yeah, there's just a different side of the picture that you cannot capture with just numbers. And I think that's kind of what art is in a way. Failures, along with learning problem-solving skills, are the most important things you can have. That is, I think, what I've come to believe. Critical thinking, actually being able to be a clear thinker and seeing the situation for what it is, understanding there's like 30 different variables. Which one of these things is what is causing this problem? Things like that. It's going to become more and more tantamount. Cora says, and anxiety. Anxiety is so important. If anxiety didn't exist, we wouldn't have a world we do now. No one would want to do better. We'd still be chilling in caves with happy lives. Yeah, I think anxiety, while it is a proponent for getting people to move, everything is a little bit of a balance where too much anxiety can also be an impairment. So yeah, I think you just need to straddle that line. And this is something that I've been struggling with somewhat recently, like the last year. I've talked about this a little bit where when I first launched this course, things felt very different in that time where people were a lot more seemingly open to online courses and were in for it. As time has gone on, I feel as though the course has become more and more difficult to get people excited about or interested in. And so my own anxiety levels at a baseline have been increasing. And I've been thinking more and more about like, well, why is that? And to what we've talked about before, which is that like, I think I've just been doing too much of the same thing over and over again. I'm just basically just going to have like a therapy session on my own here. But I feel as though, you know, I sit in this room here that you guys see me in. I work on making YouTube videos once a week, put one out a week. I write, I script, I make beats, and I do the exact same things over and over again. And one thing that I've come to believe is that that is actually not good. I think over the last, let's say 2-3 years, I've been doing the exact same thing over and over again with this course as well. And I haven't really been in a sort of learning phase. And so because I've made my conditions so comfortable, I think my anxiety levels, the things that would have made me anxious in the past, would not have made me anxious in the past, do now, because I've just put myself in such a comfortable environment of doing the exact same thing over and over again and never wanting to try anything new or different. I think that's made me more of an anxious person, because it's the same way with like weightlifting and physical conditioning. The more you work out, the baseline for your strength and what makes you feel tired or weak goes up. And so your day to day, you just feel like a stronger person. I think that same sort of thing applies mentally as well. I've been doing the equivalent of just sitting on the couch and eating potato chips, mentally speaking, for far too long. And I just have not pushed myself to do things that I might be afraid of doing, that I know would be good for me, but I just haven't done because things were just good enough. And if you leave things in a neutral state, in a state of stasis, nothing stays the same. Things have a natural tendency to decay and decline. And you sort of you have to actively, you know, much like your body, if you just do the exact same thing over and over again, you're going to get old, things are going to start breaking down. And that's just a sort of law of nature. And I think you sort of need to actively push yourself to do things better constantly. And that's something that I have been wanting to start doing recently. And it's something that I'm actually working on right now. And also with like the new plugin idea, you know, this is a completely new venture. It's something that is giving me a level of anxiety as well and nervousness. But I think that's a good thing, because the alternative is to sit there and sort of decay and let things ruin. And at that point, just become worse, put myself in a worse and worse state where I cannot deal with problems and overcoming them. Money says failures is just a parameter that tells you to tinker with the process in accordance with the ever-changing world. Yeah, that's like the signal. That's the data point. If you are failing, it's time to try something different, and you can at least navigate towards something that can help you get further away from that failure. Sherb says, you're speaking to my soul as what I'm trying to do currently. Yeah, I think this is something that a lot of people are struggling with. We're just so encouraged to stay in a neutral state and stay in stasis, because life can be comfortable that way, but do that for too long and all of a sudden you're just not mentally conditioned. And that's something that, like, I just wish that more schools would just talk about this stuff. We're told so much useless stuff, but I feel as though now maybe it's something that, you know, mental health and stuff like that hasn't been something that has been talked about ever until like the last maybe 10-15 years, and where people have been talking more and more about it in the sort of public sphere. It would be nice if this was taught to actual children, of like, hey, if you feel this way, this is probably because you feel anxious, and these are some coping mechanisms. Here's what you can think about. Unfortunately, there's probably not a good consensus of what can be done about it. But nonetheless, just talking about it and getting people aware would be helpful. Money says, why don't you start with a label and start launching artists under you, like 808 Mafia? So this goes to what I believe I'm actually good at. I don't know how much credence you guys put into like the Myers-Briggs stuff of like the INFJ and all that stuff. But that is something that I've tried to think about for myself. I've done like different personality quizzes and stuff like that. And I do feel as though they have some sense of accuracy in terms of what I feel my own personal makeup is. I'm someone who just likes creating stuff. And I'm trying to think of a way that I can maximize that and really leverage on my own strengths. And so when it comes to something like a label, at that point, I'm going to become a manager, and I'm going to have to depend on having many interactions with people and networking. And is that something that I am made up to do? Probably not. It's just not in me. And so I almost think about it in reverse, where it's less so about what is the best opportunity to maximize whatever, my own success, my own money, my own whatever. I more so think about it in terms of like, what am I actually good at? What am I built to do? And try to find the opportunity to maximize my own strengths and figure out what I can do that's valuable in accordance to what I'm already good at. And so in the future, when I think about like, what is the future of, let's say, for example, this course? What is the future of my channel? What is the future of what I want to do? I think that is just me continuing to build new and interesting things that hopefully help people. At one point, maybe I have to sort of look in the mirror and think, 3-4 years ago, the state of YouTube education was not all that great. And maybe that's the reason why the course at the very beginning had so much interest in it. But maybe now the YouTube space has evolved to the point where people don't feel like they need courses. That's fine as well. And so maybe I need to move on to, again, applying my own strengths and my own abilities to something that people want, but what I'm also good at. It's interesting, when I ran a poll on my YouTube channel, I asked people, what do they end up, spending the most amount of money on in terms of their own beat making? 3% of people said courses. And so that also made me think that like maybe, hopefully my course has helped you guys that are watching this right now. But it is also a possible truth that, there's only a small amount of people that could really benefit from a course. And thankfully I found you guys and you guys found me. But overall, like, that just might be the cap in terms of how many people would actually be interested in a course. I don't know. These are all things that have been running through my head. Read my thesis as Doom Traveler, 100 pages of mental health. So I'm curious, Doom, in terms of what we've talked about. Is there anything that jumped out to you in terms of like what people can be doing better? What are some sort of missing gaps in society that you think people would benefit from knowing on this topic? Because you just wrote a thesis on it, so you'd probably know. Cora says, same, been too comfortable for too long. That's why I'm updating my resume today after the stream. Have a way better job lined up doing things that push me. That's where I do my best. Yeah, I think I would encourage everyone to do that. I think just pushing yourself to do things, even in the personal life. I was talking to my girlfriend about this, of like, man, I just like 5 days out of the week, I am sort of just spending time with her and her alone. We sit on the couch. We maybe go for a walk here and there. And like a few weeks ago, I played flag football with like my cousins, and I was just like, man, I miss sports. I miss being competitive. I miss having fun like that. And it's just like, I've just been in this point of stasis for too long, doing the same thing over and over again. I just need to push myself to be more uncomfortable as well. I want to read it. I don't think my remedial German from high school would get the job done. Beats from the Basement says, or have a better beat maker producer squad that sells beats to artists. I would get a percentage and mentor at the same time. Honestly, I feel as though I sort of gave you guys like the sort of framework that you can use in the marketing section. So I'm much happier to have you guys just do the work, but also get the upside of it. I think getting me to do the things that you don't want to do, ideally, might not be best for you guys, if that makes sense. Lancelot says, chorus can be useful, but specific feedbacks in a community with different skills and background has such great value. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the difficulty is, how can you convince someone that that is what they need? If you are sitting at your desk and you're making beats and you're like, man, this beat is not sounding good, it's hard to get someone to think that, oh, what they need is feedback in a community of people with different skills and backgrounds. People want like a quick and easy thing as opposed to something that feels amorphous like that. What's really interesting is that I also polled, like, I have an application process for Better Beatmaker, and when I asked what people are most interested in, the least amount of people said they want feedback on their beats. And when I look at the metrics on the videos, when I say when you join Better Beatmaker, you can get feedback on your beats, I see a dip in the amount of people that watch. So what's very fascinating is that people, is my inference from that, is that people don't want feedback because that feels like judgment and that feels like criticism. Again, people just want that sort of fast solution. And once they're inside Better Beatmaker and they sort of start to see the value of it, I think those are the people that end up improving the most and actually getting somewhere with their beats, the people that are pushing themselves. And I also want to, like, you know, as much as we talk about how we've been getting too comfortable, I think it is also important to sort of give yourselves a sort of pat on the back, because you guys are already doing things that 90% of people are too afraid to do just by being here and submitting your beats to get feedback. Just like I said, most people, when they hear that they're going to get feedback with a course, it seems as though they shudder at the idea. They are seemingly afraid and they don't want that. Even though they know it's going to be good for them, even though they know that that is going to be a quick and faster way to get progress, the pain associated with what if someone says something mean to me is more than what most people can seemingly handle. And so again, we've talked again a lot about we're getting too comfortable and all that, but it is also important to think back on where you were before and the huge steps that you were willing to take that so few people have. And, you know, there's been so many phenomenal producers in this community. And I think it's because you guys have in the past done things that have made you uncomfortable and you've been better for it. And I think we just need to keep doing that more and more as a collective and to solve our own unique problems. Only 3%. I guess nowadays you can't trust many courses anymore with so many people trying to get rich. We know better because we are here, but if I did find it till today, would I trust it? Yeah, I think that is also a possibility where maybe people just don't trust me like they used to. I know for a lot of my video content, I don't do as many explicit tutorial videos as I used to. There are more like broad topics and there are more like just, you know, making a beat together. So that might be it as well. Maybe people just don't feel as though what I've built here, they don't trust that it can actually solve their problems. Or like you said, it could be a market problem as well, where there's been so many junk courses, so many different options. But I've also considered the idea that maybe this is just not as good of a course as it could be. I don't know. Is there something else that I could be doing? These are all things that I think about. I think people have, in general, less money to spend. If the global economy was more healthy, probably more people would buy a course. Do you think that could play a role? It could. I know a lot of people say, like, I have a friend who does marketing. He does like SEO and stuff. And he actually told me that like this one woman's business pre-COVID, it went to like 10% of what it was before. And so this might be a shift as well, which is partly why I'm sort of excited for the plugin. It's not going to be an expensive plugin by any means. So maybe this is something that can help people at a smaller price point. I don't know. There are strong factual arguments how your favorite beatmaker learned beatmaking. Many of them had great mentorship and some kind of community. Yeah, I think that is a great point as well. That's an interesting point. I'm here for feedback. I am done producing things for myself, says Money. Imposter syndrome is very common in producers. I have to admit that I didn't think of the feedback sessions at first when I enrolled, but now I do for sure. It's not the most, if not the most valuable thing in the Better Beatmaker course. Like my first 10 beats on the live feedback was nerve-wracking, had butterflies like crazy, but I knew the end result would outweigh the nerves. Yeah, and so it's almost like, how do you convince someone to do something that's ultimately going to be good for them if they really, really do not want to do it? Kind of reminds me of my group chat where we have we have this one friend who's like really out of shape, and we're all doing like a weight loss challenge together, but he has no interest in doing it. I just constantly think of like what are the right combination of words that I would have to say to get this person to do something that could benefit themselves. And yeah, it's just like, I'm sure everyone here in this group chat has that sort of friend or family member where you can see them doing something that is steering them in the wrong direction, and you think if you just did this thing, your life could be so much better. And yet when you tell them, there's some block in the way that they just won't listen. It's frustrating. Knowing that I'm going to be listened to by the instructor and fellow beatmakers pushes me to do my best. It's awesome. I don't think it's specifically a you thing. I just think the trust of everyone has gone down. People seem to not trust anything. Yeah, I definitely agree. That's why I kind of wish there was some sort of trial feature that I could offer as well, where people can join for like 7 days and they can see what Better Beatmaker is all about. And at that point, you can make the choice then. But unfortunately, this cruddy platform doesn't really offer that. Maybe that would solve the problem. I don't know. The nature of the internet as it is makes it scary to share art, which is a personal thing. Yeah, I definitely agree. I wish my friends would do a weight loss challenge with me. They just want to smoke weed and play games. Can't even get them to drive 5 minutes to kick it. Yeah, this that definitely sucks. Fortunately, they have to want to do it for themselves, because if not, no words can work. Chris, how's it going? Yeah, I think hopefully this has been illuminating conversation. I'm just talking about where my thought process is right now with a lot of different things, but it feels as though this is a sort of shared feeling of, there feels like there's this pit underneath a lot of people, and a lot of people fall into it, and it's like the pit of comfortableness, and making sure that you're constantly not falling back into it is important, because that is how you end up becoming less and less resilient to the potential dangers that are in the world. I'm getting choked up. I'm just swallowing on my spit accidentally. But I am feeling emotional. People with limited knowledge only throw random opinions, and they sometimes hurt, but you got to really check where the opinion is coming from. I do study that. That filters out the anxiety. I'm going to go back to work all depressed. Yeah, I feel, hopefully this conversation wasn't depressing, but I do feel as though it's like what you guys mentioned, where it's just like, unfortunately, you cannot help everyone. You cannot change other people's lives, but you can change your own. And I feel when you do that enough and people see that you're doing that, some people might be put off by it, but other people might view that as the catalyst to make the change themselves. And so I think we talk a lot about like how we can change the world, and a lot of people have these sort of grand feelings and grand schemes, but I'm just more so focused on just changing myself. And if other people feel as though they can benefit from that along the way, great. And so that's sort of where I'm thinking at right now. just finished The War of Art. It's such a good book. Highly recommend, says Chris. Yes, that is probably one of the best books ever on being a creative. This was such a great talk. Don't get them enough in our regular lives. Yeah, I feel these talks are important to have. Hopefully you can have more of them now that we have more of these hangout sessions. We went through Sankey's beat, I believe. I completely forgot where we left off. I did talk about, adding more depth, etc., etc. So, man, we've only gotten through 3 beats so far. All right, we got to pick things up here, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what? Maybe not. We still have Cora's feedback session. We still have my feedback session next week, and then another Cora. So in due time, even if your name doesn't get selected this week, you will get selected eventually. Do not worry. And maybe this can be the new format where we're just much more laid back and chill. Next up is Noah. So let us take a listen to Noah's beat. Here we go. Another Google Drive type beat. I think my speaker's turned off. So I need to crank. There we go. Fast forward.
I graduated from furious mad, now I'm just aggravated. Say congratulations everybody, I can activate. Imagine they had first let bear bonds from out the batting cages. Pre-performance enhancing behavior, run my accolades. Run my bath and rub my back, baby, they been sack chasing. If all these rats racing, I'm coming in last place. Snakes in the grass, I haul ass at a fast pace. Offense, autograph the ball I pass, great. I'm an athlete, turn your favorite rapper to the ashes in the ashtray. Look, shit, ashtray, ask Louie, ask Izzy, ask Squiggin, ask Dre, ask around the A, ask the massa on the plantation, and ask the magistrate. Who the biggest, baddest in the land is about to masturbate with both hands, smack it across your face. Drop a tape before the album, most of you lost taste. But I'm sniffing like a hound for a sinner that lost grace. Trying to figure out if I'm really him or a fraud fake. He gon' find a way, either in the game or God's gates. Put your guard up or pick your rod up, it's time to play. Hit your squad up, we beat you all up and take your ball, bruh. All tough behind the screen, but softer than my broad butt. Raw cut behind the scene of all the things I say I mean, and all the things I mean I say. Respond to me, see who play. See for I'm the master, I'm the dragon and the teacher, and I carry Christ's passion. Let it blast through the speakers, let my black ass show when I'm on the stage. Drop beneath, I'm very unethical when it come to public speaking. I probably been smoking and drinking, saying just what the fuck I been thinking. Oh Jesus, they just let him off the leash, and now he aiming for your head. Put the old people, children, and women the bed. Heard G walking around with the infrared. Brother went off the edge. Don't be scared, we could save him and talk him back off the ledge. If it's beef eating flesh, he turn into a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
We'll give this the fade out. Got a 5-minute song here by Noah. The guitar is dirty. I like it, says Cora. Marco's out of here. Later, man. The bass is a bit too loud for my taste, says Doom Traveler. Is it echoing through the mic? My mic, I believe, was muted. So hopefully that's not what it was. I forgot I read the War of Art already. Had to go check my Audible and see it was completed. Well, maybe you just didn't enjoy it as much, perhaps. Sorry, it's a bad mix, says Money. I think it's a cool beat, but seems a bit too dirty and warped on its own. But feel it works better with vocals on it, though the main melody is way too loud. Could use a little bit more variation throughout, says Sherby. I think some of the pops and vinyl static are just a bit too loud, making some of the snares feel odd. That super early kick too. Bring it a little bit more on grid and you're good. Grabs didn't expect it to work with the vocals, but the guitar and the bass are too loud. The vocals could stand out more. Yeah, I feel as though this beat probably needed a little bit more. I think the guitar pattern itself sounds good. I really like how dirty and sort of lo-fi-ish it feels. But because you constrict, how many frequencies the guitars take with the sort of lo-fi processing, you're stuck with a sound that doesn't take up as much space overall. And so I think a little bit more instrumentation needs to be added. And it feels as though this sort of over-the-top, extremely loud bass was sort of meant to fill up the remaining space. But I think there's just so much more frequencies that need to be filled up in different depths as well. The patterns also kind of seemed a bit random as well. It doesn't feel as though the bass line follows what the guitar's doing. It just seems like there's like random notes being placed here and there. So I think just simplifying one of those two patterns, we have two what feels like somewhat complex patterns. I think just having something a little bit more straightforward with either one would have been nice. And yeah, like I said, more instrumentation, maybe throwing in electric piano to fill up different frequencies, perhaps just add more to the aesthetic of the beat would have been nice. Yeah, my feeling is as though that this beat just needs a little bit more. It's got bones in it. It's a good starting point, but I think just thinking about, are the spaces in this beat all filled? What else can I add in? Or one of the things that a lot of producers tend to do is sort of take whatever they have in their beat, and because they struggle to add more, they just crank up the volume and get everything to feel a little bit more loud. That just makes your beat feel like a loud, incomplete beat. So yeah, I think just using the frameworks and principles that I mentioned in the course to fill up a lot more space in the beat could get it to sound better. Maybe some more clean highs would help a lot in the gain staging. I feel all the elements are here for sure. Yeah, I think maybe adding a little bit more crispness to the drums, a little bit more airiness to that guitar, especially like the reverb part of it could have been nice. E-pianos is a good call. Give it a nice foundation. Yeah, that's what my thinking was. Just have the E-pianos fill up a little bit more of that low mid, and then you can push the guitar to fill up a little bit more of the mid itself, and you have more of a full beat there. So yeah, I think just a little bit more work needs to be done to that beat. We'll do a couple more, guys, and then we will resume this later on. Again, if you don't get your beats reviewed in this stream, you will get them reviewed in the next. So do not worry. Do not fret, my friend. Next up, we've got Kai, it seems. No scandals with the wheel so far. Here we go with Kai's beat.
it right now. We just however long I rap out, we gon' call it. Look at me, dawg. Look, niggas know I ain't the one to sleep on. I'm under pressure, gotta sleep with the heat. An extra clip beside the dresser like I'm pop. Paranoid niggas puffin' pot, puffin' out your chest, what? Stop, we ain't stupid, we ain't stun you and nothing you doing. I'm the intruder, the pursuer, the persuader, the shooter. I display a wide array of different styles. My latest, none greater. I've graduated from furious mad, now I'm just aggravated. Say congratulations, everybody, I can activate. Imagine they had first let Barry Bonds from out the batting cages. Pre-performance enhancing behavior, run my accolades, run my bath and rub my back, baby. They been sack chasing. If all these rats racing, I'm coming in last place. Snakes in the grass are all last at a fast pace. Offense, autograph the ball, I pass great. I'm an athlete. Turn your favorite rapper to the ashes in the ashtray. Look, shit, ashtray. Ask Louie, ask Izzy, ask Squiggin, ask Dre, ask around the A, ask the master on the plantation, and ask the magistrate. Who the biggest, baddest in the land is about to masturbate with both hands, smack it across your face. Drop a tape before the album, most of you lost taste. But I'm sniffing like a hound for a senator, lost grace. Trying to figure out if I'm really.
All right, that was Kai's beat there. That's a tight low end. I need to get here, man. Please help me, community. Are you referring to this one or the other one? You can just reach out to Kai. Oh, there's Kai. What are the chances? Nice use of that gate effect for added variation without cramming more sounds, as Cora. Just got off a work call. Amazing beat, says Beats from the Basement. I like the melody of this beat. Feel like the drums should be pushed back a bit more and the melody brought forward a little to balance it out. Money says, what a beat. I definitely agree. I really, really love that beat. I loved all the warping synths and just how the beat sort of minimizes and then maximizes and then sort of just morphs over time, but it still is a consistent idea. It wasn't as if I was listening to like 30 different beats in one. I think the beat here felt super, just such a unique way of arranging this beat. Yeah, just the way it sort of starts to get quiet and then the synth comes back in. I really love the drum pattern as well. Just great job of creating like a sonic palette here that just feels so unique. Yeah, that's pretty amazing how much progress that Kai is making here. Crazy cohesive with how everything changes, or how ever changing it was, says Cora. So Sherb mentioned that he liked the melody, feels like the drum should be pushed back a little and the melody should be brought forward a little.
Look, niggas know I ain't the one to sleep on. I'm under pressure, gotta sleep with the heat. An extra clip beside the dresser like I'm pop. Paranoid niggas puffin' pot, puffin' out your chest, what? Stop, we ain't stupid, we ain't stun you and nothing you doing. I'm the intruder, the pursuer, the persuader.
I feel like it has a pretty good balance here. Maybe a tiny bit of the highs off the hi-hat. But I don't necessarily feel as though the drums are getting in the way. I think, if anything, just a small little detail here. Again, this beat is really, really good, so don't feel as though I'm saying this is like undermining the entire beat. I think just narrowing the stereo field a tiny bit and having some of those more important textures that really stand out. Not be as wide or as apart from the beat.
I'm under pressure, gotta sleep with the heat. An extra clip beside the dresser like I'm pop. Paranoid niggas puffin' pot, puffin' out your chest, what? Stop.
Yeah, there's certain like low mid sounds that feel like they're a little bit wide. In my personal experience, it seems as though most beats somewhat build the most important textures that sort of ground the beat, and they put them in a more of a narrow field. It's not as fun by any means. It does feel fun to like have these really interesting, unique sounds feel very wide. But I think when you narrow the stereo field a tiny bit, or if you just take those sounds out a little bit more on the extreme left and right, and you maybe constrict how much space they take up, you'll probably start to feel like it's a little bit easier to focus on the vocal performance. Just a small thing to think about, but overall, like this beat, I don't really have anything that I feel needs to be changed by any means. I really, really love this beat. Phenomenal job, Kai. He's been on a tear with these beats, man. Taking business calls during the day, crushing insane beats during the night. Thanks everyone, always appreciate it. Yeah, it could be just a nitpick from me. Was a great beat, says Sherb. Love the in-depth feedback. Bring on the nitpicking. Yeah, so I would probably just test out to see how the beat feels to you if you just narrow things a tiny bit. Maybe even just going on the master and changing the stereo space. Just to see, do like a quick A/B test to see if it feels as though the vocal is coming out a little bit more with clarity, and if so, just going into like the individual sounds at that point and seeing if making those adjustments could help. All right, so we'll do one more, guys, and again, just do some admin stuff. Thank you again for showing interest in wanting to test out the plugin. I'm still getting it finalized from my dev. So if you guys want, I can actually show you where it's at right now. We made a few changes to it. But the plugin now, if I just close everything. So I had some people ask what it was, and there was a little bit of confusion, which is, you know, perfectly fine. I can show you guys what currently is going on with this plugin. Whoops. So the idea here is that, you know, whenever you're using a sample to make a beat and you need a little bit of help, you know, understanding what the notes are within that sample, if you want to build a bass line around it, if you want to take a chord progression and build a melody on top of it, or if you just literally want to take the notes from a sample and build your own pattern using that sound, that's essentially what this plugin is meant to help you do. So for example, if I play this sample here, you can see it shows you every single note within the actual sample. And so from this point on, when you have it recorded into Note Grabber, you can literally just click and drag on the notes here and choose which notes you want. And then, whoops, you can delete as well to make sure you don't goof up, as I am doing. And then you can open up a separate instrument if you want. And then if I drag, there's this little button here. I'll show you what the little buttons do here. Gain and range and speed is to change how the actual output looks. Record, obviously to record. Reset, if you just want to wipe everything out. And then once you have your audio showing in the actual plugin here, you select which notes you want, and then you click drag to MIDI, and then you put it on whatever instrument you want. And so as a reminder, here's how the actual sample sounded. And now here is what I have extracted. And so this gives you, you can use this to actually pull out entire notes, or you can just use it to build melodies around. You can sort of look at the actual plugin. It shows you, oh, this is an A, this is an E, this is an A, this is a C. And so you can use that information to build chords around a melody in a sample that you want. And it's meant to be an actually accurate audio to MIDI, essentially. Because as you know, when you try to use audio to MIDI, I'm going to take the exact same sample here. And if I try to use the stock audio to MIDI, here's what comes out. So it sounds, as you can hear, nowhere near what the actual sample is doing. I'll increase the volume and try to put it into a different octave here. So yeah, it sounds like absolute junk. Most audio to MIDI absolutely sucks because what they try to do is do all the work for you And in my opinion, producers are smart people. They're not lazy dummies. I'm just going to show you all the notes within the sample and then let you choose which notes you want to build your ideas around. And that is fundamentally what the plugin will help you do. We used to have a feature here that sort of tried to do exactly what these plugins do, of automatically detecting the notes within the sample, but it fell to the exact same trap of these plugins, which is it was just never accurate. And so we got rid of that, and I'm just gonna say this is almost like a manual, not even a manual, it's just an audio to MIDI tool that gives you control. And that is fundamentally what I wanted to build with this plugin. Doom Travel says, that's a plugin I will buy. I hope so. Do we have a feature that after the drawing the MIDI, can I play a single note in the window right there? So we were thinking of adding a preview mode. So for example, if you had this here, you'd press play and it would just play just a stock sine wave or piano sound. That is a feature we're thinking of adding later on, but just for the meantime, I want to see if people would be interested in just this functionality alone. And so, we'll see. I'll start sending it out to the people who submitted probably once I get an actual finalized version back from the dev. And you guys can let me know how useful you find this, if it's something that you'll feel as though it's going to actually help you in your own process. My thinking is it's probably going to be more useful for sample-based producers, but you never know. I'll let you guys make that call and decide. Awesome plugin, very handy, says Beats from the Basement. I like the plugin name, Note Grabber. Yeah, I enjoy it too. So yeah, that is where we're at with the plugin right now. I'll probably be sending the finalized version hopefully sometime next week if you wanted to take a look. But yeah, that is the plugin idea right now. And hopefully you guys are excited for it. And I hope it just helps some people and people actually want to buy it. Spent a damn year on this thing. Lance is up next. It will be the final beat we'll listen to, and once again, guys, we'll continue these reviews next session with Cora, and then me again, and then Cora again. So here we go.
Conductor.
Let's just be quiet 1 second, please.
We just rapping, dog. Everything real vanilla. Everything moving. Yeah, we just have a long ride. We gon' call it. Look at me, look. Niggas know I ain't the one to sleep on. I'm under pressure, gotta sleep with the heat. An extra clip beside the dresser like I'm Pac. Paranoid niggas puffin' pot, puffin' out your chest, what? Stop, we ain't stupid, we ain't stun you or nothing you doing. I'm the intruder, the pursuer, the persuader, the shooter. I display a wide array of different styles. My latest, none greater. I graduated from furious mad, now I'm just aggravated. Say congratulations, everybody, I can activate her. Imagine they had first let bear bonds from out the batting cages. Pre-performance enhancing behavior, run my accolades, run my bath and rub my back, baby. They been sack chasing. If all these rats racing, I'm coming in last place. Snakes in the grass, I haul ass at a fast pace. Offense, autograph the ball, I pass great. I'm an athlete. Turn your favorite rapper to the ashes in the ashtray. Look shit, ashtray, ass Louie, ass Dizzy, ass Squiggin, ass Dre, ask around the A, ask the master on the plantation, and ask the magistrate. Who the biggest baddest in the land is about to masturbate with both hands, smack it across your face. Drop a tape before the album, most of you lost taste, but I'm sniffing like a hound for a senator lost grace. Trying to figure out if I'm really him or a fraud fake. He gon' find a way, either in the game or God's gates. Put your guard up or pick your rod up, it's time to play. Hit your squad up, we beat you all up and take your ball, bruh. All tough behind the screen, but softer than my broad butt. Raw cut behind the scene, and all the things I say I mean, and all the things I mean I say. Respond to beat, see who play. C4, I'm the master, I'm the dragon and the teacher, and I carry Christ's passion. Let it blast through the speakers, let my black ass show when I'm on the stage. Drop beneath, I'm very unethical when it come to public speaking. I probably been smoking and drinking, saying just what the fuck I've been thinking. Oh Jesus, they just let him off the leash, and now he aiming for your head. Put the old people, children, and women in the bed. Heard G walking around with the infrared. Brother went off the edge, edge. Don't be scared, we could save him and talk him back off the ledge. If it's beef eating flesh, he turn into a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Give a fuck about who you said was up next. And up now, I'm on the outside looking into the crowd like a sniper, shooting bugs off your windshield wiper. My rhyme cipher like a fully loaded rifle, nigga. Fuck it, hate it, love it or like 'em. I'm still like that, easy.
All right, that's Lance's beat there. It's a really great job of sampling there. So Cora asked, I assume the highlighted greens are the only notes that get drug into MIDI, so you can only do root notes or combo with highlighting, or all of it without highlighting. So hopefully this makes sense. Let me know, guys. Let me know if this explanation doesn't make sense. But like I showed here, if you hit record, it's basically going to start by showing you every single note in your plugin like that exists. So at this point, it's entirely up to you to choose which notes you actually want. So you could go in and just choose these root notes here if you want like an actual bass line. And then if you drag these out, boom, they're right there. Or if you wanted the sort of, if it's a sample that has chords plus a melody and you just wanted the top line melody, it's up to you to choose what you want. You basically click your mouse down, drag it, and it draws in this note for you. And that's it. It does not automatically, if you tried to drag with nothing in there, it would export nothing. And so this is to avoid the trap that all the other audio to MIDI plugins fall into, which is that they try to basically do everything for you. So what this is doing is it's detecting the exact same thing that my plugin's doing, but it's trying its best to figure out what you actually want. And then when you try to do that, that's when it comes out sounding like absolute garbage, and the pattern is nowhere near what the actual sample's doing. And so my hope is that this plugin will just show you everything that you have in your sample and just give you control over what you want. Yeah. Vocals getting drowned. Vocals feel slightly buried in the beat. Not sure if the melody is a little bit too loud or the vocal just needs more normalizing and compressing. I was just thinking the same things as John. Lance got the vocals to fit in time. Love the sampling. Bounce is nice. Melody is a little bit loud, without a doubt. I struggle with the volume management when using a lot of samples. The beat has some really great, nice bounce to it. Love the sound selection too. I think the sample pattern in the very beginning was money. After that, the producer got a bit wild with the changing patterns in the beat. A beat that is built on the first 4 bars would be dope. The backbone is there, especially that flute needs to be tamed. I feel around 130, it kind of flipped to feeling a bit like a bar type sound and stopped fitting the vocals. This might be a bit overproduced, says Kai. Yeah, so I feel as though I'm picking up exactly what you guys are. Great job with the sample. I love the way that you chopped it up and you had like pockets throughout. It wasn't a sort of continuous usage of sample, which is a trap that I fall into. I really love these beats that have like a great structure in terms of the drum pattern, which is something else that jumped out to me as phenomenal in this beat. Great amount of detail, lots of small percussive sounds, and then you have this interjecting of samples within this, or sitting on top of this layer of drums. Phenomenal job. And like you guys mentioned, I really loved the first minute of this beat and the way that it was chopped up. I felt like it had a great balance.
Stop, we ain't stupid, we ain't stun you or nothing you doing. I'm the intruder, the pursuer, the persuader, the shooter. I display a wide array of different styles. My latest, none greater. I've read.
So much like I mentioned with Kai, I probably would have tamed it a tiny bit, bring everything in a little bit more into the middle, and then do a little bit of EQing on that flute so it's not as sort of prominent. And I probably would have focused the idea on just this. But as everyone mentioned, once we got into like a minute and those extremely loud strings started to come in, the balance got like way off.
The ashtray, look shit, ashtray.
It became yeah, it just becomes very difficult to actually hear what is happening with the rap. And so I probably would have gone back and forth with like this as the verse loop.
With the heat, an extra clip beside the dresser like.
And then just finding another piece that isn't quite as over the top and doesn't get in the way. I think later on it had a little
Women in the
bit
bed,
something like this.
walking around with the infrared, brother went off the edge. Don't be scared.
Probably has a better balance, maybe even something that's a little bit more tame as well. And I think you have all the good pieces, all the right pieces within this beat. I think just getting rid of the stuff that goes a little bit too far and a little bit too overpowering would have been a great balance. Kai says it's very clear. It's clear you're very skilled. Looking forward to hearing more beats from you. I definitely agree with that. Great beat here. I think just taming in the ideas is actually what needs to be done. So yeah, that is it, guys. Good chat in this chat. Good talking. Good beats. I will see you guys soon next week on Monday. I'll get through the rest of these beats, and Cora will probably listen to some of these beats as well. And yeah, other than that, guys, thank you again for showing up, and I'll post the next challenge or exercise probably on Thursday or Friday. And other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.